Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixie Land. My name's Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we're in Bible study. We're in the NIV. We're in Deuteronomy. In fact, we're getting very close to the end of the book of Deuteronomy. In fact, tomorrow we will record the last book in Deuteronomy and the first book. So we'll end one chapter, one book of the Bible, and we'll start a brand new book because we'll start Joshua. But in this video here, we are in Deuteronomy chapter 32. The Song of Moses, which actually began in chapter 31 and Moses recited the words of this song from the beginning to the end in the hearing of the whole assembly of Israel. It is 52 verses. So Moses felt the need to be, quite prolific in what he had to say to them. Now, mind you, Moses was also told that he's about to go die. And, at this point, he's like 120 years old. So, it's pretty old. 120 is like, I don't know about that. Okay. Well, when the good Lord makes you for a purpose, He makes you for a purpose. So, listen, O heavens, and I will speak. Hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. Let my teaching fall like rain, and my words descend like dew, like showers on new grass, like abundant rain on tender plants. I will proclaim the name of the Lord. Praise the greatness of our God. He is the rock. His works are perfect, and all his ways are just. A faithful God who does no wrong. Upright and just is he. They have acted corruptly towards him. To their shame, they are no longer his children, but a warped and crooked generation. Or corrupt are they, and not his children. A generation warped and twisted like their shame. Is this the way you repay the Lord, O foolish and unwise people? I should really re-say that. Is this the way you repay the Lord, O foolish and unwise people? That's really the proper way. Is he not your father, your creator, who made you and formed you? That creator with the B footnote of, or father who bought you. Those are two very different things. Now, he did buy them out of slavery from Egypt. So it is a running theme that it likes to get used. But, he also made all of mankind because God, right? So, remember the days of old. Consider the generations long past. Ask your fathers, and he will tell you, your elders, and they will explain to you. When the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he divided all mankind, he set up boundaries for the peoples according to the number of sons of Israel. See the Masoretic text and the Dead Sea Scrolls. See also the Septuagint. Is sons of God instead of just sons of Israel, sons of God specifically. And that is, it's very true because Israel, specific person, right? Israel, specific person, Israel, someone been renamed, right? Whereas there were descendants of Lot that were protected. There were descendants of, Esau that were protected. Not just Jacob's children who went to Egypt, that he did, are the only ones he bought out of slavery. Because not all of everybody who had the same root, not all the children of Abraham is another way to word that too. And Lot was Abraham's nephew, wasn't even Abraham's kid. For the Lord's portion, let's try that again. For the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob his allotted inheritance. In a desert land he found him, in a barren and howling waste. He shielded him, cared for him, guarded him as an apple of his eye. Like an eagle that stirs up its nest and hovers over its young, that spreads its wings to catch them and carries them on its pinions. The Lord alone led him. No foreign god was with him. He made him ride on the heights of the land and fed him with the fruit of the fields. He nourished him with honey from the rock and with oil from the flinty crag. It's an interesting thought. And crag in the Middle East. That's an interesting. Okay. The flinty crag. With curds and milk from herd and flock, and with fattened lambs and goats, with the choice rams of Bashan, and with the finest kernels of wheat. You drank the foaming blood of the grape. Jeshurun, Jeshurun, which got a footnote of A. Jeshurun means upright one. That is Israel. Jeshurun grew fat and kicked. Filled with food, he became heavy and sleek. He abandoned the God who made him and rejected the rock, his Savior. He made him jealous with their foreign gods and angered him with their detestable idols. They sacrificed to demons, which are not God, gods they had not known, gods that had recently appeared, gods your fathers did not fear. You deserted the rock who fathered you. You forgot the God who gave you birth. The Lord saw this and rejected them, because he was angered by his sons and daughters. I will hide my face from them, he said, and see what their end will be, for they are a perverse generation, children who are unfaithful. They made me jealous by what is no God, and angered me with their worthless idols. I will make them envious by people who are not. I will make them envious by those who are not a people. There we go. That's really what he says there. I will make them envious by those who are not a people. I will make them angry by a nation that has no understanding. For a fire has been kindled by my wrath, one that burns to the realm of death. Below, B, and to Sheol, because that's Hebrew for, like hell. So it will devour the earth and its harvest, and set afire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap calamities upon them and spend my arrows against them. I will send wasting famine against them, consuming pestilence and deadly plague. I will send against them the fangs of the wild beasts, the venoms of vipers that glide with the dust. In the street, the sword will make them childless. In their homes, terror will reign. Young men and young women will perish, infants and gray-haired men. I said I would scatter them and blot out their memory from mankind, but I dreaded the taunt of the enemy, lest the adversary misunderstand and say, our hand has triumphed. The Lord has not done all this. He didn't want somebody else claiming the destruction he would have brought. And that's the only reason they were being saved. So, ooh. They are a nation without sense. There is no discernment in them. If only they were wise and would understand this and discern what their end will be. How could one man chase 1,000 or two put 10,000 to flight unless their rock had sold them, unless the Lord had given them up? For their rock is not like our rock. Okay, so in the case, this is verse 31. Lowercase r in the rock for their rock. Uppercase r in the our portion of the rock. Just for clarification purposes. It's a proper noun. Okay. As even our enemies concede. Their vine comes from the vine of Sodom and from the fields of Gomorrah. Fighting over petroleum even then. Their grapes are filled with poison, and their clusters with bitterness. I might have something to do with the poison. Their wine is the venom of serpents, the deadly poison of cobras. Like, so no thank you to Sodom and Gomorrah wine. Have I not kept this in reserve and sealed it in my vaults? Actually, I can't have, wine at all. The sulfur content's too high. I'm allergic to grapes in general, so it doesn't matter. It is mine to avenge. I will repay. In due time, their foot will slip. Their day of disaster is near, and their doom rushes upon them. The Lord will judge his people and have compassion on his servants when he sees their strength is gone and there is no one left, slave or free. He will say, now where are their gods, the rock they took refuge in, the gods who ate the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up to help you. Let them give you shelter. It's okay. A recurring theme happening in Deuteronomy here is that, remember, Moses is a prophet. And in this case with the prophet of the Lord, meaning he did indeed see the future. Now, I know that's like, red flag, psychic. No, we're talking about psychic ability versus psychic. Psychic talks to any energy in the room, but has psychic abilities. Psychic abilities given by God, when you're used to talk to God, would include things like being able to see the future. Now, Moses, coming to the end of his life, is going into this phase where he can't go see the promised land. Joshua's going to have to be who takes him across the way. Joshua would not have been pronounced Joshua, and there it would have been pronounced Jeshua, just so you understand. Joshua is the one who has to take him across. Joshua, son of Nun. Not kidding. Important enough of a figure in the alphabet of Nun, N-U-N. If you actually go through and look at the, because it's sort of a pictorial language, everything that it would say in there is all about like the heir to the throne and all kinds of things of this nature. It's very specific, like the fish to sprout, to grow, things of that nature. So very specifically chosen for a reason. to be the next one. But Moses is worried about what's going to happen to his people. That he asks them, like, if you're going to take me, God, you got to give them someone else because I'm not confident that they'll stay in you. And God's like, oh, they won't. And let me show you, since it's what you're worried about. Let me show you. So Moses has seen that they will not stay true no matter what they're saying to him. And that's why he puts it in these terms of, let it convict you if you don't. Don't you come back and complain that Moses led us astray when you're revisiting history, when I told you what would happen if you didn't listen. So that's really what this is a lot of. So with their doom that rushes upon them is Moses seeing, but a lot of the other prophets did see, the dysporias that did indeed come during the Assyrian and Babylonian. It's just you're talking about a very long time difference between when these events would happen. So, and the Israeli people, because they're Israeli people at this point, because remember Jewish has to do with Judah, Jerusalem, okay, being in the portion of Judah's land. So it's specific to a tribe that we use in a very different way now. Okay? So the Israeli people, at this time are in a different place. So they do end up in dysphoria, so he is correctly seeing what other prophets later will see. The Lord will judge his people and have compassion on his servants when he sees their strength is gone and no one is left, slave or free. There is a point there in which there's nothing in the whole area. And it does get to a place where things get overgrown, cities get overgrown, where things have to get chopped down. He will say, now where is their gods, the rock they took refuge in, the gods who ate the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up to help you. Let them give you shelter. Like, oh, okay, you don't have to stop acknowledging me. So let them go take care of it. See now that I myself am he. There is no God beside me. I put to death and I bring to life. I have wounded and I will heal. And no one can deliver out of my hand. I lift my hand to heaven and declare, as surely as I live forever, when I sharpen my flashing sword, so lightning, and my hand grasps its judgment, I will take vengeance on my adversaries and repay those who hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, while my sword devours flesh and the blood of the slain and the captives, the heads of the enemy leaders. Rejoice, O nations, with his people. I got both C and D here. Or make his people rejoice, O nations. And then in the there's a D footnote, is in the Masoretic text, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and also the Septuagint. People, people, and then after, because they have a bar space as in later. And let all the angels worship him. Okay. For he will avenge the blood of his servants. He will take vengeance on his enemies and make atonement for his land and people. Moses came with Joshua, or they have a Hoshea, a variant of Joshua. Came with Joshua, son of Nun, and that's of the tribe of Manasseh, or maybe I'm wrong in Achilles. It's a grandson of Joseph, specifically. Regardless of which one of those specific tribes, which one of the main ones it comes from. Joshua, son of Nun, spoke all the words of this song in the hearing of all the people. When Moses finished reciting all the words to all of Israel, he said to them, "Take to heart all the words I have solemnly declared to you on this day, so that you may command your children to obey carefully all the words of this law. They are not just idle words for you, they are your life. By them you will live long in the land you are crossing the Jordan to possess." Moses to die on Mount Nebo. On that same day, the Lord told Moses, "Go up into the Abram range to Mount Nebo in Moab, across from Jericho, and view Canaan, the land I am giving the Israelites as their own possession." Now this goes back to a different place in Deuteronomy, earlier chapters, in which Moses is trying to petition God to allow him to see the land, to set foot in the land kind of thing. And God says no, and he puts his foot down real hard. And then he tells them to go to this place, well, because he's going to let him see it with his eyes. But he is never to cross the Jordan and ever set foot there. The land I am giving the Israelites as their own possession. There on the mountain that you have climbed, you will die and be gathered to your people, just as your brother Aaron died on Mount Hor and was gathered to his people. This is because both of you broke faith with me in the presence of the Israelites at the waters of Meribah, Kadesh, in the desert of Zin. And because you did not uphold my holiness among the Israelites, therefore you will see the land only from a distance. You will not enter the land I am going to give the people of Israel. So that is when there was no water, and there was the water from the stone. And Moses, with Aaron next to him, made it sound like it was Moses and Aaron who did it. Instead of saying, God heard your prayer, and he says you're right. Boom, boom, here, the glory of the Lord, he brings you water. But instead, they claimed it like it was their own. So neither one of them were allowed to go into the land either. Aaron was punished very quickly afterwards because Aaron had other infractions. Because remember, Aaron and Miriam tried to make themselves be equal to Moses. And Moses was a very humble person, so that was very unlike him. But also now, you need to think really hard. We're thinking of like the, big people of faith. Because if I heard people come at me and go, well, that's the Old Testament, and I don't pay any attention to that. And it's like, well, first, you don't know what scriptures Jesus fulfilled if you don't even know the scriptures that he was fulfilling. So it just makes it impossible for you to know that fact. It's first. And then second, however faithful you are, do you think you're more faithful than Moses? Because none of us get any chance to be more faithful than the Messiah, because it means that's the Christ if we even think we can be. We got a problem. Like he flat out said that that's not happening. I mean, he said no student or no disciple is ever greater than the teacher, but you'll know the disciple because they'll act like the teacher. Like they'll mimic the teacher. They try to do what the teacher does. Okay, so we're never gonna okay, but Moses was a person, just a person with really great faith. If you don't think you have more faith and have done more for God than Moses, he's just gonna forget, and you're not gonna have to ask him for forgiveness or change your behavior. He held out on Moses